Welcome to Pennsylvania in Focus. I'm Kristen Smith. Western Pennsylvanians are celebrating Wednesday after the release of American history teacher Mark Fogel from a Russian labor camp in exchange for an unnamed Russian citizen. Fogel has been the focus of years of effort petitioning the U.S. government to push for his release. Frustration had grown, however, among legislators and family members when his name was omitted from high-profile prisoner exchanges in 2022 and 2024. Joining me today is the Center Square's Pennsylvania reporter, Christina Lingell. Christina, who is Mark Fogel and how did he end up in Russian custody?
Mark Fogel is an American history teacher. So he was actually in Russia to teach at a school in Moscow. He ended up in custody because they found about a half an ounce of marijuana in his suitcase that was medical marijuana prescribed to him in the United States. When he was arrested, they accused him of drug trafficking as well, although I don't think that made it into the final court proceedings, but he was sentenced to serve in a Russian labor camp in 2021 and has been there since. For a long time, his family pushed for the government to designate him as wrongfully detained, which eventually did happen in 2024 when Jake Sullivan made that decision.
And so what role did Donald Trump play in this?
Well, this is one of the things that he said he would do as soon as he became president. This is one of the promises he made during his presidency, along with securing prisoner releases from various other places. But Mark Fogel's mother, Malphine Fogel, went to the July 13th rally in Butler and asked Donald Trump if he would help her get her son released. And he said that that's what he would do if he became president. So that actually turned out to be the rally in Butler where there was an attempt on his life. But he did remember the request. And upon returning to office, he sent Steve Witkoff, who's actually a special envoy to the Middle East, to go deal with things in Russia. And he brought him home. This was also an effort that included Senator Dave McCormick and John Fetterman and Representative Mark Kelly. People from really all across the political world in Pennsylvania were pushing for this to happen.
Tell us how those lawmakers responded once the news broke that he was free.
They were really thrilled. Dave McCormick went to the White House and welcomed Fogel back along with Donald Trump. So that was a pretty momentous occasion. And he came wearing his Steelers hat and drinking Iron City beer with a lot of Pennsylvania pride. So there was a really jubilant response from across the political spectrum in Pennsylvania. So we saw posts all over X and Facebook of people just really celebrating. We have Mark Kelly said how important it was that his mother had been involved and that we saw from the Republican side a lot of people talking about how Donald Trump had really fulfilled his promise. We heard that from Mark Kelly. We even heard from people like Summer Lee, who is a representative in Pittsburgh, who said, this was a testament to his family's unwavering love and their just tireless advocacy. John Fetterman, who's a big support throughout the whole thing, also said that, the return was long overdue and everyone's just very happy to see him come home to his family.
And Fogel is just one of several hostages that have been released in the last week. Can you tell us more about the others?
Yes. So there were 6 prisoners released from Venezuela in part of a deal that Donald Trump made to have Venezuela accept deportees from the U.S. So previously that wasn't possible. But through negotiations with Maduro, the president has arranged it so that Venezuela is willing to accept planes full of its citizens that have been deported from the U.S. And in exchange, we get these 6 prisoners. There's still a lot of details missing on how that went. And we actually have pretty complex diplomatic relations with Venezuela right now. Currently, the president in office is Maduro, but the U.S. government recognizes his opponent, Gonzalez, as the rightful president-elect of the country. So we have not been dealing directly with Maduro for some time. Some have expressed concerns that this could change and this could normalize relations with someone that we view as an autocrat or an unelected leader. But having said that, there is, forward motion where there hadn't been before. But that's not to say that there hadn't been any releases from Venezuela for U.S. citizens. The Biden administration secured the release of 15 prisoners from Venezuela over the course of his administration. So it's not unheard of. It's just that we don't directly deal with President Maduro, or have not in the past.
Christina, thanks for joining us today. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com.